Have you ever been tagged by the world, based on what you have done in the past? They have now labeled you in the present. Knowing that you have messed up in the past, they begin to look at you and say, okay, he's a man or a woman who messes up. If you are someone who's a failure in your job or in your marriage or in your personality or the way you talk, immediately people label you as a failure. The world immediately tags us when we failed or when we have messed up or when we have done things that have not been right before the world or before the society. Today, let us look at how God looks at us. How is the approach that God has towards us? Let us understand how the world looks at us, and let us understand how God looks at us. In Luke chapter 7, we see in verse 39, we see how the world labels this woman. Now, this woman had approached Jesus. This woman fell at the feet of Jesus, washed it with her tears, wiped it with her hair. She worshipped him. She kissed him. She poured out the best to him. But look at the world. When the world saw this woman, what did they tag her? In Luke chapter 7 verse 39, it says, now when the Pharisee who had invited him saw this, him means Jesus, saw this, he said to himself, if this man were a prophet, he would have known who and what sort of woman this is who is touching him, for she is a sinner. So when the Pharisee, when the religious people, when society looked at this woman, they looked at her as she is a sinner. She had done things in the past, she had messed up in the past, she was living a sinful life, and that's what the world looked at her and said, she is a sinner. They looked at her at that present moment and said, she is a sinner. That means the world looked at her by her past life, by the things she did yesterday, the things she did years back, the things she did days back, and they labeled her as she is a sinner. But when God writes about her, when God speaks about her, when God approaches her, we see in Luke chapter 7 verse 37, it says, and behold, a woman of the city who was a sinner. You see, God, when he looks at this woman, he identifies, he says, yes, she was a sinner. That means it's something of the past. It's nothing of the present. You see, the moment she approached Jesus, that was whatever she lived was of the past. It was no more going to be carried forward. But the world, they tagged her as not only what she did in the past, they tagged her as the life of the present. When God looks at this woman, he identifies and says, yes, she has messed up in the past. God does not deny the things that you've done in the past, but he also declares who you are today, what you are now, what he is making you now. When the world looked at Matthew the tax collector, they saw him as a tax collector. But when Jesus called out to him, Jesus saw what he's going to make of him. You see, the world tags you and tries to keep you in that place. But God, when he works in your life, he will take you out from that tag. He'll take you out from wherever you are and put a new label on you. And the new label is, you are called the Son of God, the child of God, the beloved of God. God begins to label you, tag you with a new name, a new beginning. I want to challenge you who's watching today. Maybe the world has tagged you. Maybe the world has looked upon you and said, you're good for nothing, you are useless, you are a problem maker. Maybe the world has tagged you with these words. But I want to tell you, as you come to God, as this woman came to Jesus, the identity completely changed. She was a sinner. She was. But then Jesus approves. Jesus begins to declare what she has done is going to be remembered throughout the generations to come. I want to tell you today, no matter what the world calls you, no matter what the world has tagged you, come to God and you will see a new beginning, a new name, a new label over your life. God bless you.